Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for the invitation. Today, I'm going to be talking about the elephant in the room. How do we get humans to actually use generative AI in the way that is meaningful for them and for the organization? At Mendo, our vision is that humans and AI will collaborate, and humans will be more and more critical about what AI does. But to get there, we need to actually have tools to help people understand what is happening and how they should work with that technology. And that is the vision we're carrying at Mendo. So today, there are some key challenges around generative AI. The tech ones are being handled by all of the players we're seeing around us. And there's a lot of them. And the human ones, well, there's quite a lot less solutions here. It leads to quite a few problems. The first thing is, well, now that you have good technology, ensuring that people use it is complicated. If you're in a big company, no matter how good that technology is, telling someone that they need to change the way that they're working is really hard, and you're probably all seeing it. The second thing is, even when they're using it, our clients are coming to us and they're telling us, hey, we've been deploying AI for years now, and 90% of my workforce is only using it to make their emails better. How do I get to the next step? And that is because it's really hard to scale training. You can do a lot of e-learning, you can do a lot of workshops, but at the end of the day, how do you ensure that actually translates into an actual impact in the way that people are working? And so that leads to a risk. If people don't adopt generative AI quick enough, you cannot actually put generative AI in your processes, you cannot fasten the workflows, and you cannot transition and succeed in your digital transformation. So you need to ensure that you're robust there. You've probably all seen this quote, AI will not replace you, but someone using AI will. And the second one is basically explaining that as we're moving to a world with generative AI as the first interface, what differentiates someone from being a good worker and a less good worker is how well are they going to interact with these AIs, and how good are they going to be thinking with these AIs. And so if we think a few steps down the line, we need to be thinking today, how do we help our people working and thinking with AI in a way that they will drive more and more value? It shouldn't be something that is left on the side of the street. It should be something that we address upfront to ensure that we are managing to win in our digital transformation. So that's what Mendo does. We saw the same problem, and we thought, hey, how could we find a smart and efficient way to solve it? Because, well, it's not today that people woke up and said, hey, adopting technology is hard. We just tried to do it in a way that is scalable and that has a clear and measurable impact on people. So there's three pillars. The first thing is, more than anything, people need to use generative AI to be able to understand it. We've all heard it before, but why it's important? Because unlike Excel, where you can understand the formulas and kind of remember them by heart, you need to create your own sensibility and antenna and the way that you're using AI. You need to know when it's working, when it's not working, and that doesn't come by actually learning a PDF. It comes by using it in a lot of different use cases. The second thing is it should be seamless. We've seen too many e-learning platforms failing, so we decided to integrate ourselves within the flow of work. We want the employee to be guided within its AI applications, not the employee having to go into another platform. And finally, we're focusing on long-term impact. We want to make sure that it's not just a training that people are really happy after, but a training that is lasting and is that ensuring that it creates agility and usage in the long term. And we provide our clients the data with it. So today, we work with around 80 clients across the world. We've raised about $5 million. And the key thing that we're focusing on is how do we drive adoption and use cases that are driving value at the user level. And we work with these beautiful companies, which logos have been a little ruined by the presentation. So concretely, how does Mendo work? In that case, it's going to be an example on ChatGPT, but we integrate within virtually any platform. It can be internal chat, Microsoft Copilot, Copilot 365, Perplexity, and you name it. Here, we are integrated directly within the browser. So Mendo is downloaded as a Chrome extension. And basically the IT of the company just has to press a button and most of the people will have it. When you click on Mendo, the first thing we're going to ask the user, so here I'm not doing it because it's a bit lengthy, but we're going to ask them, to what extent are you using AI today? What is your job? In what industry do you work in? So we can give that user the use cases that would be as relevant as possible for their job. Now, once that's done, they also set objectives and weekly goals. The idea is that as AI is moving faster and faster, you need to create rituals in the way that people are using it and trying out new things. And Mendo is basically just taking the right information and giving it to the user at the right time. So here, that user is going to do 30 minutes of trying new things with AI, and we book slots within people's agendas. Now, what we have under is what we call labs. So the labs are practical things that people will be guided in doing within their AI. We're going to go into one straight after. And as people are advancing within these labs, they have their XP that is going up. We have company rankings and all of the data background for the people deploying Mendo. So at the beginning, we have some pretty basic labs that people will know if they're beginners. If they're more advanced, they're going to go into much more advanced use cases with companies. Some of the companies we work for are very advanced users, but most of the people are getting started from scratch. And as we go down, basically, I'm going to go into more operational things. So at the beginning, I have a common things, how can you do project management, data analysis. But then if I'm working in HR, I will have HR use cases. If I'm working in finance, I will have more finance-related use cases. And as AI is evolving, we're adding more and more practical content so that people can actually go and try these new things. For example, Researcher just got deployed into a lot of companies recently. Well, what does that mean for someone in marketing? That's going to change their job drastically. What does that mean for someone in consulting working at Artifact? Well, it's probably going to be really helpful for them. We're going to help them realize right away the value of those key tools. So here we're going to go into a lab that is called Evaluate the Risks. And basically, I'll just show the first few steps. The idea is that Mendo tells the final users and guides the final users into doing things and verifies that that person has done things. So we're not just, hey, you should do this. We will, with our own AI, check and understand that the person is advancing. And when they're validating the steps, they're actually validating real use cases. And then when we certify them and they share these certifications on LinkedIn, we know that those are real skills. Now, going back to our example, we are basically working with any project. And we're asking the user to start brainstorming with their project to ensure that they think about all the risks. Being exhaustive and being able to make good hypotheses is one of the amazing things that you can do with AI. So the first thing we're asking the user to do is ask the AI to ask you questions about your own project so you ensure to give a right level of context. That's a really good technique when you go into more advanced use cases that we basically teach users all the time. The user is going to do that. So here we're seeing the answers. And then we're going to click on Validate on Mendo. And Mendo will analyze with AI that the user has done the right task and let them move on to the next step. Then the next step will basically be answering those questions. And after that, we won't have the time to do all the demonstration, but we have a booth if you want to see what's next. After that, the user will ask the user to go and ask the AI to make online research and online benchmark on similar risk and similar project, to take its own hypothesis and to create an Excel with the potential risks, the benchmark it's seen, and how much money and time they could lose on that project. And in 5 minutes, the person went from basically not knowing really what to do around AI on the project to getting a full-on Excel with hypothesis and the potential risks of their project. So this is just one of the many use cases that we do with Mendo. And that allows us to track a lot of impact at our clients. So for example, with Aurelia, we've been working for around 2 years now. That was the result after the first 3 months. We drove the weekly adoption from 18% to 85% within the first 3 months. And also the main thing we really focus on is to what extent do we get recurring use case usage. That's where you drive value, and that's by getting recurring use case usage that you get the all the people in the different departments to come back with more use cases and to actually be the drivers of your change rather than you pushing the change from the top with the use cases coming from the top. So basically, Mendo is a solution that ensures that all of your employees have the keys to use AI well and to be the driver of your generative AI transformation at scale. We'd be very excited to meet you at the booth T25, just next to Salesforce. Come see us, it's better. And have a wonderful day.